Okay, welcome to the program. It is November the 20th and you're with the Editor-in-Chief and we are live.
Duncan Garner, live.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Duncan Garner. Welcome. Get in touch. Leave us a comment. You can post it right there. You can see all the details on screen. Tonight, a juicy topic that is kind of personal for me and it may be for you as well. But shortly, I'll speak to a divorce coach that can help you go your own separate ways and save you huge money and all the heartache along the way, because there's plenty of it. So just what is Bridgette Jackson seeing when it comes to relationships and separating in 2024? What's some of the sort of the hard edge of some of this? The cases are trickier. People are more unhappy and emotionally hurting, and they're emotionally hurting their soon-to-be ex. That's what's happening. Money's tight. The biggest asset, the house, is being sold. Older people are divorcing as well, and substance abuse has become quite an issue. I'll also ask for advice on how to hold together over the toughest period of all. That's the silly season coming up. Relationships can go south then, So let's go. Let's rip into it.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, evening, everybody. Nice to see you here. Truly, it is either sounds like a great job or it's an absolute shitter, this job, but it's something that surely makes you want to sit next to her the next time you're out with a group for dinner. The stories are untold, and this year they seem tougher than usual. Bridgette Jackson runs Equal Exes, a divorce coach that helps you divorce with dignity, if there is such a thing. And she's with me now. G'day, Bridgette. Nice to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Duncan. Great to be here.
Oh my God. There's a brief for you. 2024. So have you been busier than ever?
Yeah, it's been busy and it's been harder. People have been harder to deal with because they're, in terms of emotional dysregulation, it's been worse. People are really unhappy and the emotion is so high. So
if people are separate or divorcing and they go to a lawyer, why should they go to you? Let's first of all look at why would they? What do you offer?
Okay, well, in the first instance, running off to a lawyer is a do not do. Okay.
Oh, I agree with you.
So coming to us is, we're going to hold your hand, be your thinking partner as you go through the process, so helping you make the best decisions that you can make and avoiding those mistakes that many people make. So the advantage of working with us is our focus on shared and common interests.
Yes.
Okay, the separating with dignity or helping you stay with sincerity. So we do the work underneath in terms of guided resolution if it relates to your relationship property. We draw up an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding.
Yep.
And we work with predominantly now individuals, but also couples who have got the foresight to realise that they need to be amicable. So I have gone out to the market and I've said to lawyers, we need fixed fee lawyers to avoid the conflict escalating.
Really do,
So we now have fixed fee lawyers on board, and I tell you, it saves people time, money, which you may as well throw it down the toilet.
Well, you might as well just hire a helicopter and throw it out the window.
Yeah. And do you know the wonderful thing is 9 out of 10 couples that I work with, they come to agreement. It goes off to the lawyer. The MOU forms the basis of the separation agreement, and they are so thankful.
We could talk for hours on this, and we may end up. Who knows? But I was once, when I was divorcing, I was trying to get some money out of an account that was frozen. Right, I wanted to, because I was doing the house up for sale, so I wanted to use joint funds.
Yeah,
and I spent 8 weeks negotiating to get this money, and I spent more money on the legal fees to get the money than I spent getting the money. How's that? Than the value of the money I got in the end. To work through the midnight every night to get the house up to speed to sell in a down market.
The problem is,
honestly, I almost feel like collapsing right now.
I know, and it takes you years to recover, at least 3 years to get through this process. And
Easily.
I think, a lawyer's role is to be positional. They're acting independently for their clients. They don't care about the emotional toll. They're only there for the legal aspects.
Yes,
right?
and who's got the kids at the centre of it?
Neither party, if it becomes acrimonious. And as you and I know personally, the children are affected the most in terms of this whole process, not just when the agreement gets signed, but for years to come.
And people get quite helpless too, when you get home and there's another email from a lawyer there and you have to answer these questions and it's Friday night and you're going, God, we can just sort this out by talking, but
I put it off for months. Oh,
I bet you did. And it costs more, right?
It costs more and more, and the emotional toll and the great big cloud that hangs over your head every day just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
There is hope though, and so you can get through this. And my divorce took 5 years. I think yours is 5 years too, right? So we both have these. So we both speak from experience.
Absolutely.
So this is not just two people speaking about something over there.
No,
we've lived in this.
We have been in the trenches.
So what's it look like this year? You say the cases are trickier. What's happening?
Well, there's a lot of substance abuse going on.
Yep.
Drugs, alcohol, combination of both, and it's just devastating. It's like they're married to the monsters.
They didn't know.
Yeah, that's right. It just takes over, doesn't it? Whether it's drugs or alcohol, and it's really sad.
More so than you've seen in the past.
More so than I've seen in the past.
I wonder why would that be rearing its head now? Because post-COVID, it's a lot more stressful. There's been economic downturn. It's all those things,
Well, I
isn't
think that, and coming back to that, people thought that last year was difficult, and I don't think they realised that actually things were going to escalate and could get actually any worse than they were. Let's face it, it's been worse than the GFC this year.
Oh no, this last 12 months, without doubt, every business person I speak to says it's the worst ever.
Yeah.
Worse than 07 by 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's really interesting, what I've seen in my business this year, is I get contacted by a lot of parents of adult children who are desperate for help with their children. So we are now working with and they actively engage with us, making sure that the grandparents are supported in relation to their adult children, but also their grandchildren through this process.
So they're approaching you to look after the kids?
Yeah,
In
the
what
adult
way?
children. The adult children. Please help them through the divorce.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So we've had a sharp increase in that. We've had a massive increase in silver separations, as I call it. So those over 60. Yeah, because the median age in the stats of people are actually getting separated later. It's moving from, the median age is rising from 42 to 48 for men,
Yes, that's significant.
and 40 to 45 for women.
And you see, because when you do divorce, you're worse off financially. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. But it's the women that lose out financially. I want to tell you a bit of a story. So 3 out of 4 women do not get the full payments of child support. And I was talking to someone today, and there's one woman who has 2 boys. She gets $12 a week.
Now, how do men organise this? Because I know,
Well, fiddling,
I've read of fiddling the
getting
books.
their accountant. And you know what? I want to say it here right now, Duncan.
How do you do that with
the
your
child
PAYE?
support, the IRD need to overhaul the child support. It's unacceptable.
There's so much that is sitting there that should be collected, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And 5 out of 6 women are left with the children, and we know that there's unequal wages. They have them full time.
Yes.
They can't work full time because they've got their children. It's financially crippling them, which has the same effect on the children.
And that's right. And are these men, are they giving them half of everything at separation, at divorce time?
No, I mean they'll tell you. Yeah, but they will fight to the bitter end, unfortunately.
But how can they get around the law?
Well, they will drag it out for years and years, and they're hoping that predominantly the woman will just give up. Because you've got to have big coffers, as you and I know,
exactly,
to be able to go down that path of retaliating. And as we know, that's the lawyers' roles in terms of their independent parties. I'll tell you other things that I'm seeing.
The judge said to me when we sat in the court, the judge said, I'd like you to stop here and go away and solve it. Because if you come back here, then your lawyers will make a lot of money out of you too. Yep. So I advise you. And so she spoke very much, I wasn't even aware of what she was saying. You're so emotionally invested. If you just step back for a bit, and if I was to use my journalistic hat, I would have seen it much more clearer, But you can't because you're so connected. You're
so connected and you're so emotionally dysregulated.
Yeah.
And every time you get a lawyer's letter, etc. And I think that, the other thing is family and friends can be fantastic support, but flipping that over, they can also be absolutely detrimental in terms of your scenario.
In what way? The advice they give you?
The advice they give your children, your friends say, well, you've got to go and see the lawyer down, 2 streets down because they're a bulldog. So we actually now are offering, once again, support to family and friends to how to be the best support for your children or friends going through it, because they're unaware. They're unaware, and sometimes the clients are having to say to parents, "You've just got to, with all due respect, you need to back off."
Well, I had family say to me, "You need to get a lawyer." And then I asked my lawyer, "Well, who's the best lawyer?" And they gave me this lawyer, and it's so expensive.
Oh no, they really are.
Barrister.
I know. It's but the wonderful thing, the positive thing is that our panel is growing of fixed fee lawyers because they can see the benefit in what we're doing.
So how do they work? I mean, obviously it's obviously all in the name, a fixed fee.
Yeah, fixed fee because the couples do all of the work underneath within Equal Exes,
Yes.
guided resolution, and it just works so well 9 times out of 10. I mean, that's good stats.
It has to be better because this idea that lawyers are sending these long, worthy letters to each other, and every time I saw letters passing between me, I thought $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. That's all I could see.
I know.
And it's debilitating.
I know, and I think the positive thing is people are seeing other people's cases and going, I don't want that to be me. But this is coming back to Duncan, having these conversations about what potentially separation would look like when you're in a happy place. Okay?
Because if people want to model what it looks like, it could get pretty. If you want to model it badly, then this is what you tell them, right?
Yeah, and thinking too about, would you want your children in this type of relationship, and how would you feel, if they're telling family, when they're 25, what do you want them to be telling other people about the way that your parents have separated?
Yeah.
What is that going to look like?
And also, what do you want your kids to be looking at? Do you want your kids to be looking at a father who mistreats their mother in breakup time, or do you want the mother mistreating the father? I mean, they're watching all this.
Oh, and
they're being guided by it too.
Yeah, and also they will then make up their mind. They will decide.
Yes.
As they get older, they will cotton on with what's going on, and they might potentially side with one parent. Yeah,
you've got to be aware of if they're poisoned along the way. But they do grow up and grow older and with their own minds as well.
I mean, the wonderful thing is mine still want to get married. My children.
Tell them to come in here for an hour with me.
Which I'm,
They want to get married.
Well, they said they want to get married. I said, well, we're going to have to talk about prenups then, aren't we? Because,
how important are prenups?
Well, they're massively important
now. They really are, right?
They really are. They're a safeguard and protection. Okay, and I'm seeing a lot now that they're in first relationships in terms of the younger generations. That didn't happen 20, 25 years ago.
Wow, really? So they're happening in their 20s?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you think about it, women now, a lot more career focused, and people are buying houses and, all the other assets that they have. So I think it's a really good thing, I've got to say.
Oh, I would, if I was in a moment of madness, did it again.
Yeah, I'd have prenup too.
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd be prenupping over, but it wouldn't have to be a massive big document. I don't think it would be quite cheap, probably. But I know it'd be a pretty.
You're making millions
up.
out of this, aren't you? Out of a conversation with me.
No, but seriously, so that's been. And what about the older, with the grey divorce or the silver divorce?
Yeah.
See, that's a real worry because they get to, let's say, they're closer to age 50 than they are 20, they're closer to age 60 than they are 30. And suddenly you're looking at not being employable as you used to be.
No.
Suddenly you don't have you have half the money.
Yep.
And you have a retirement system that's set up that you own your own home.
And you think about it, a lot of the women in that generation have no idea about their finances.
Well, of course they don't.
And have never had to manage any money or even work.
Because he did it all, and he.
That's right.
He. In many ways, it was secret because, we just had the nice house and we just carried on, and he managed all that stuff. Didn't matter.
No.
But then suddenly you open the books and hang on, what's there?
Yeah. So I am actually very surprised in terms of this year how many in that 60 plus age group that I've had come to me.
In that age group, like
it's predominantly women coming.
It is to say they want out.
Well,
but in our day, the parents, and when we were back in the day, parents would stay together. Your parents stayed together through thick and thin.
My parents were the role models. For marriage.
Same. My dad's died of cancer, but if he hadn't died, he'd still be with mum.
Yeah, likewise. My mother died of cancer too, and she would have still been.
What was it? Was they compromised and they were friends? And
I never heard them yelling at each other, anything like that. It was a very loving environment.
God, this is. I mean, it's sort of rare because in today's world we sort of check in, we check out. It's easy in, easy out. It seems to be. It's not valued like it was. Right?
No, I reckon that my parents. That was the first time they were the only boyfriend and girlfriend they'd ever had.
Yeah, I think you're right. No, so it was certainly. I look at my parents. Yes, I think it was.
I think they only had sex with each other. That was it.
I didn't know if they had that, but they obviously had it twice because I've got a twin and an older sister. But also, no, mum had a boyfriend because my dad nicknamed him Magni Mowatz because he worked at the butcher's. That's right. So mum must have had at least 2. but I worry about the silver thing because it's a different conversation you have with them, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, and they understandably, in most cases, take longer to leave. But there is the woman walk-away syndrome. And,
Why are they walking away? What are they finding? They're bored.
Well, they're just over it. I think, and they've like, well, I've got maybe 10 or 20 summers left. I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's the feeling though, isn't it?
Oh,
I've been with you for 30 years.
Yeah, or more.
Or 20 years or more.
40 years.
It's a big thing to go, isn't it?
It is a big thing to go. And, the plans for your retirement have gone down the drain.
All your plans have gone down the drain.
That's right. They
have more assets though, don't they, at that age than they do?
They generally do. But, adult children, when parents go through divorce and separation, they're affected massively. So that does have
I hadn't thought about that. How are they affected?
They, I think, because they would think that their parents are never going to separate and worried about the relationship moving forward and what that looks like, because with the grandparents, grandchildren.
True, yes.
All of that.
Oh, this relationship stuff's complicated, isn't it? I might stay single forever. well, it's not a bad option. It's less complicated.
Well, it is less complicated.
Could get lonely.
If you're single for too long, then you'll find it difficult to get back into the market. But you've actually got to find yourself again and find your purpose. It's not that long ago you
went through kids. That's kind of a purpose, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But they'll leave home though soon. We're young as well.
Don't say that. Most of them are gone anyway. But how do you? Great, they're gone. But how long should you be out of the market for? What's this whole market thing? How long should you be out of the meat market? There's a meat market.
Well,
is there such a thing? What's the market like out there?
Well, have you seen that meme where there's this great big pool, and it's all green and murky with and the pool's empty?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking
That's
about.
for the over 50s.
Yeah. Well, the pool's empty for over 50.
Yeah.
But it is,
well,
right?
what I mean, that's what it looks like. I'll find the meme and send it to you. But, the first thing you have to do is actually take the time to heal. You've got to find your identity and your purpose again, Dunk.
Yeah. And I've started to do. I've done that. I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And I spend a lot of time with my boy and his mates, and so my purpose is making sure these guys get through well.
And I think also, absolutely, they're your priority. Yeah. They are your priority.
Totally.
But also, it's taking those learnings from your previous relationships.
Yeah, which has made me quite wary. That's the thing.
Yeah. Understandably.
I mean, people say, well, why have you got a partner? Well, I'll find you someone. Even my mother started to say, you leave that to me. I've seen a couple of the options, Mum's.
I know.
And that's just.
And you have to watch out for the red flags.
Yeah, what are we looking for there?
Well, high conflict personalities, I wouldn't advise that.
Okay, so how do we know? But that's the thing, though.
Well, you're probably going to be love bombed if you get love bombed.
Yeah, I've had a bit of love bombing.
Yes. So if someone wants to get married to you next week.
Oh, no, I haven't.
And messaging you all the time.
Oh, no, definitely. Yeah. That's only you guys. But no, that whole the love bombing thing, watch out for that.
Yeah.
But the personality disorder thing, you don't
pick it up for 3 to 6 months.
You don't pick exactly. Yep. You don't pick up the narcissist for maybe up to a year.
No, because the thing, the little red flags that are sort of gently waving in the breeze become great big banners, and you suddenly realise,
oh, shit, what have I done here?
Yeah, that's right. And you think it's going to get better, and it ends up being a cycle. And you're blamed for everything, and you begin to feel hopeless and worthless and not good enough.
You lose yourself. I'll be honest about this.
Yep.
You lose your confidence. You lose your self-confidence.
Yep.
You question.
Yep.
Who you are and what you've done or what you haven't done.
Yep.
You question how did I get to this. You question all of your self-worth.
Well, in 7 minutes you would have been told that there's 7 things wrong with you. And then you start to believe it.
Oh, I think in 3 minutes I was told there were 21 things wrong. Yeah. I got home once and there was a thing on the bed that cut out from a paper that said signs of narcissism, and I read it and thought, is it you or me?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And the gaslighting. Making you really question your judgment and your reality.
Totally.
All of that
I've
sort
been
of
through
stuff.
all this.
And I think it's difficult for people who haven't been in relationships with people like that to understand, because it doesn't just stop when you sign the separation agreement. I think the biggest thing in life, it's not who you get married to, but it's who you have children with.
That's really crucial, because with children, you're tied for life. No matter what happens.
That's right.
There is something, well, unless you walk away from your kids.
Yes, that's right.
And some will do that, but that's not something I can do.
Yeah.
Or want to do.
Some do that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't know how they do it, but yeah, I just think you got to be. So my radar, my radar is really high. It's going to be a high hurdle.
Yeah.
And so I've shown scant interest in it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that.
But I'm a bloke. I'm human.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to. Yeah.
Need to what?
Intimacy and all that.
So, you guys are loving this. So, what do you advise? So, you also advise. Let's see this for a little diversion. You also advise over how to get through the city season as well.
Yeah,
don't you?
Well, I think the Christmas period, because the busiest time of the year for us is the start of the year. 'Tis the season for separating.
They've come back and said, right, you're out.
Yeah, that's right. And we think we're going to have this wonderful Christmas, and I think that, you know, the responsibilities and the social commitments and not having time together and the financial outlay that you have to make, it's a difficult period. So, you know, in terms of being able to get through this period, you need to communicate with your partner.
Yeah,
you know, you need to communicate with your partner because you want Christmas to be enjoyable,
yes.
particularly for children.
Stressful,
I know it is. Well, keep away from those family members who you are toxic. Remember me coming on the AM show and we talked about Christmas?
Yeah, I do. Well, we'll just say, so the best thing is they were great days, halcyon days. Stay clear of them, right? So stay clear of these people.
Yeah, I mean, just mix with people who are supportive and make you feel good and lift you up.
Yeah,
that's what I think at Christmas time.
Yeah, and also the other thing is, I reckon, look at what you have rather than what you don't have. So try and look at some positives.
Be blessed and grateful.
Yeah.
You know, we're alive, we're able to walk, you know, I mean, the number of people who are getting unwell seems to be on the increase. I want to talk about that actually just for a minute.
Yep.
Because what I've seen in my business is people are cancelling their insurances, medical insurance,
I've
etc.
heard this too.
And it makes either one or both of them actually very vulnerable. Forbes magazine, people who go through divorce and separation, women, there's a 20% increase in chance of getting breast cancer or uterine cancer. And unfortunately, there's more. In terms of men, you've got a higher incidence of potentially getting colorectal cancer, lung cancer, pancreatic cancer, etc. You know, so
what's the percentage?
I will find out, but I think they just set a high level, but it'll be up around about the same as the 20%.
See, I refuse to let a divorce define me, and I refuse to let it kill me. You know, and so I went on to Deputy Treasurer Island this year to prove to myself that, you know, I could still hit the wilderness and survive, and it was great for me. You know, it was one of the best things. It was like a 3.5 week boot camp in finding myself. You know, it was great. Yeah. You know, you can do this, you know?
Oh, you can. And, you know, it does take time, but, you know, you can do this. But
confidence gets knocked, you know, your financial ability gets knocked. Everything gets a little hit.
It does.
And it doesn't take much to put another little boot in, you know?
Absolutely. And you start overthinking things or doubting yourself.
That's when you get
imposter
sick.
syndrome. All of that. You know, absolutely. The whole divorce and separation process, particularly if you're acrimonious, makes you very sick.
Yeah.
And very stressed.
You can't let, you know, and the last thing you really want to do is get terminally ill.
No.
As a result of that, what was life worth it? Was life worth it in the end? You know what I mean? And you don't want to get to that stage.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, you and I are in our 50s, and there's a lot of people.
You're further in your 50s than me.
I'm 35.
You don't look at that's the thing.
I'm 35. No.
Yeah, I'm just 50.
No, you're 50. I'm 52.
Okay,
but I'm older.
102 years of experience. So, I also wonder. About in terms of rebuilding your position in life and rebuilding yourself. You say 3 years, do you? You're going to take 3 years? Because that seems to be such a short time.
I know what it takes. Everyone's different, aren't they? Everyone's different in terms of the scenario that they've been through, and everyone's different in terms of, the biggest thing I think is you need to surround yourself with positive support, and whether that's a counsellor or psychologist or
and your friends, as you said earlier,
absolutely
your friends are.
Yeah, all of that. And you will get there. You know, we when we're going through the process, we look down this dark tunnel and we can't see at the end of it. Yeah. But there is new life.
That's what I was going to say. Be positive rather than negative. It doesn't.
That's my mantra.
Yeah, well, no, it has to be though, because my mum got cancer and she would just remain so positive and she beat it. You know.
That's incredible.
It is incredible. She got it just before Dad. We don't talk about this much, but she did. And so I also wonder. I've also had people that I know have taken their own life. Yeah. You know, when you think, what did you do that for? And you'll never know. Do you get many people that are really right on the edge?
Yeah, a lot this year.
Seems that this year's the one.
Well, you know, and the other thing is that they're both still living in the same property, even though they want to separate, because their house is worth less, so they're not able to go and they can't afford to go and get a rental or anything like that. So there's been a lot of work that we've done in terms of the boundaries and the rules of engagement. And obviously, the focus being the children as they go through, as they're having to bird nest
That financial
that
stuff, does it hit the thought of losing half, does that affect the man more or the woman more initially when they hear that?
Well, a lot of men, the main breadwinner, does not want to pay in terms of economic disparity. They don't align it with your children being looked after, and their career excelling. Which is unfortunately very, very common. I mean, every scenario is different. There are some relationships where both parties manage the finances and know the finances. There are some instances when the female does it or the male, or same-sex marriages. It sort of varies in terms of intensity.
And do you get to a stage where they won't talk at all? You have to have the third party mediator?
We end up being the intermediary. And they cannot communicate outside working with us. That's quite common.
That's really common now, isn't it?
It's very common, and we get to a stage where it's like, excuse me, that you actually have to start communicating with each other for the children's sake. You've got to be role models for them. No regrets in terms of the way that you act through this process.
I know that very well, but some people don't.
No, they will never do it.
They will be so stubborn. They will not see it as anything to do with them. No. Seeing more issues in terms of people not willing to be transparent in terms of what they own and owe. How do they get away with that?
Well, they think they'll get away with it, but unfortunately it's the law, and you can't certify your relationship property agreement unless there's full disclosure.
And how do you get full disclosure?
Well, you might have to go to court to get it if they're not going to get it.
Yeah,
that's right.
I was asked if I had a overseas secret Switzerland sort of no tax account, and I was trying to prove that I didn't. It was very hard to actually prove that I didn't have stuff stored away in some sort of tax haven. I mean, it's just not me, It's just that I wouldn't even know how to do that. I'm not that sophisticated in many ways,
Yeah, no, I mean,
but I had to prove that I didn't.
Yeah, that's right. It's a process that nobody wants to go through, and it's very difficult when you're up to your eyeballs in it with lawyers. It's very difficult to get off that treadmill.
And you need to go to work every day still. You need to hold it together for the kids.
And we know how it affects your productivity.
Yeah, I know.
And your absenteeism and presentism and work colleagues picking up the slack. It's massive.
And mood, your mood.
Health and safety issues at work if you're going through divorce and separation. If you're on a job like a pilot or a forklift driver or something like that, then
and your mind is off the job.
Absolutely.
God, it's just so complicated, isn't it?
Yep. It's not at the top of the stress continuum for no reason.
You must hire a few staff now, do you?
I've got some coaches coming on board. Yeah.
Do you think next year's going to be better? Because I know this was meant to be the year we got better, but it sort of went on hold, didn't it? And now they're talking about survive to 25.
Yeah, I think it'll slowly get better. I think where it will really come into its own will be 2026.
We'll bounce back a bit.
I think so. I think it's going to take another year or so. I mean, the last few years, from COVID onwards, have really tested people like no other.
Oh, big time. Do you, just final question, do you get, been good seeing you too, been great catching up. I wish I'd seen you earlier. But do you get people writing back to you or emailing you or whatever and saying, oh my God, thank you for that. I'm in this place now.
Yes.
And if it wasn't for you, we would not be here.
I was just reading a text I was reading some lovely messages I got today to myself today. And someone was saying that thank you so much for creating this business, and I know you went through a really difficult time, but the way that you surround us, your clients, with love and support is incredible. I mean, I have to actually have a little cry, Duncan.
Well, but I know the feeling, because when when I do something on here and someone really appreciates it, and they, you say something, do something, or whatever, and you get a nice response, or someone writes to you or email, whatever. It's always really nice that there's someone that you've affected. Yeah. In a good way. Good way.
And it makes all the work. Because it's not for the faint-hearted, this role.
No,
it really isn't.
How do you cope with it? How do you wash yourself of all this stuff?
Well, I love to exercise.
Yeah, yep. Yes, you do. So you just get rid of everything like that.
Yeah, I think that's one of my real passions is exercising. Yeah. And I'm always a cup overflowing. So
that's good.
positive
Yep.
person always. And you got to laugh every day.
Yeah, see, I think this is the way. And also think about I go like this, 3 positives.
Yep.
What am I happy about?
Yep.
My kids don't have terrible diseases.
Yep.
I don't have one.
Yep.
And I've still got a job.
Exactly.
So there's 3 things. My mum's alive, What
Yep.
else?
Yeah.
It's not that bad. Summer's coming.
Be grateful and blessed, as you said at the start of this, for what you do have. And
I've got great friends.
yeah.
Good guys.
Yeah. Life, is fantastic. And you were talking about the positive and negative. So my mantra is there's always a positive and a negative, and sometimes you've just got to dig deep to be able to find it.
Yeah.
But I promise everybody, it is there.
It is there. And the other thing I'd say is others are in this too.
Yeah.
So you're not the only one going through this.
No.
And people have done this for generations, and they've got through it, and they've continued.
Yeah, life goes on, and actually life becomes better.
Yeah.
There are positives to separate.
Look at what you don't have around you anymore.
That's right.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean there.
Yeah, I do.
Bridgette, love to catch up. We'll catch up again soon, though. But
Absolutely.
Nice to see you. Yeah.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, you're very
Love it.
welcome. You're very welcome. Good to see you.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, if you've got any feedback to that, let us know. Duncan at rover.nz. Be good to hear from you. Or you can post a message, leave all your comments there. You may be going through this. And if you want Bridgette's details, just email me. I can give you those details separately and after the program. Right, let's do 3 questions.
3 questions from the editor-in-chief.
Okay, you're kidding me, right? Auckland residents are angry that they've been issued fines for parking in their own driveways. Something many of them say they've been doing for years and they've been left alone. Last month, infringement fees were raised nationally, including if a vehicle obstructs the entranceway or exit of a driveway from $40 to $70. So residents in Greyland, Ponsonby and Kingsland have recently been given fines for parking in their own driveway or on grass verges. Give them a break, Auckland City Council. This is what happens when you squeeze too many people into too small a place. Get a life and find a new target because we're over you. At number 2 today, what next for the Hikoi? Well, I spoke to Willie Jackson last night on the working group. Very good podcast. And he made it clear for Māori, the fight will never end and the end of the settlements process will not signal the end of Māori fighting for the next bit. So Māori don't see an end to anything. This will go long into the future and well past all of us. We're only 200 years old as a country. Settlements have been going for, 50 years? If you want a quick fix, then Seymour's bill is not it. And there is no such thing for Māori. At number 3, what? How many times has the haka in Parliament been viewed? 700 million times. Can you believe it? Te Pāti Māori MP, Hararawhiti Maipi Clark's haka she triggered in Parliament has gone global and been seen 700 million times by a global audience. The Hauraki Waikato MP says she was shocked to be handed David Seymour's Treaty Principles Bill and thought, well, someone else would trigger the haka. But it was left to her and away she went. My sources tell me this thing was planned 3 days in advance. And the only person who didn't know was the poor old Speaker, Jerry Brownie. Maybe Parliament needs to become more New Zealand, more modern perhaps, and less Westminster. And the haka has been allowed in there before. Maybe it needs to be allowed in there again, with, of course, the Speaker's prior approval.
Duncan Garner, live.
Isaac, I want to bring you in here. Has that in any way put you off, as you're a young fella with a GF, has it in any way put you off relationships or marriage?
Oh, no, not at all.
I
have a very loving girlfriend, and I one day hope to get married.
A good man.
That is the plan. That's what I'm running with at the moment.
And the thing is, it's about understanding, right? You've been compromised and all that sort of stuff. And communication.
Communication is a massive one,
Yeah.
And I think that's super important. That's something that we in my personal relationship, we always strive to be really, really good at that, or as good as we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super important, and like, as soon as you're keeping something from your partner, that's when it just starts to fester and stuff starts to get worse. And it's never going to get better if you're not honest and you're not open about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's so true. So true. If you hide shit, then you're going to be in the shit.
Exactly. And I'm no relationship expert, but I like to think that we're doing pretty well.
I know you don't have a car, but I want to run this by you as well, because you're right in my target audience.
Yes.
These people that have been ticketed for parking in their own driveways, leave them alone.
Yeah, that seems pretty weird to me. Like, what do they mean by driveway? Is it like a long one that they share with multiple people?
It's one of those little short ones, So yeah.
What's the issue then?
Well, you're parking. I suppose you're parking over the footpath.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
but I mean, ticketing. Do you know how much the work was?
Yeah, 40 to 70. It's now $70. Yeah.
$70.
Yeah, for parking in your own driveway.
Ridiculous.
Go to hell.
Yeah.
Bugger off. Piss off. To the city council.
Yeah.
Give us a break. Do you know? Anyway,
Lame.
don't worry. Stay on the bus, mate. You can't get ticketed for that.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, so it's true now. We know this. The next police commissioner is going to be a bloke called Richard Chambers. And if that's the case, and we know it to be the case, the government's got the right man. They've got the right man for the job. I've had a bit to do with Chambers over the years, and at all times found him to be an outstanding frontline police officer and one who is responsive to the public's demands and needs, but also one who's a foot soldier on the ground. So his men and women across the police force will be pleased with this because he's one of them. He will not be like the previous commissioner and come across as soft and ineffective. That's probably the nicest thing you can say about the last one. Chambers likes results. He doesn't like to leave people hanging, waiting for answers or waiting for problems to be solved. He wants to solve them himself. He's a go-get-em cop. He's one of those guys that gets on the ground, and he has done all his life. In many ways, in saying that, he's not some old school Mr. Plod. I don't think he's an old school Mr. Plod either. I don't think it's fair to say that. I consider him in touch with wider New Zealand. He's been around the traps. He's been all around New Zealand as a police officer, right through Wellington, Auckland, of course. He started in 1996 in Avondale, actually. So he's been around the traps. There's no doubt about that. And he's someone who doesn't suffer fools, is what I've found. He won't be easily misled, nor does it sit easy with him, I don't think, to front and lie or mislead on behalf of any government. So he's not going to be there and just lie on behalf of them. It doesn't sit with him. But he must be on board with the government's wishes, and he clearly is. He must be on board with the government's policies, and he clearly is. And he knows their intentions, and it's now his job to see that they do them effectively. But he's a guy who likes to get stuff done, and his relationship with Mark Mitchell, I think, will be so much better than the previous commissioner. If Mitchell didn't want this guy, he wouldn't get him. Mitchell wanted this guy. Mitchell knows this guy. He wanted him because he can execute a job properly. Mitchell has in many ways found his own man to do the job. And it'll go through all sorts of layers of the public service, but at the end of the day, if the minister finds the face doesn't fit, the minister will not appoint them. So this is the minister's man. Chambers won't go light on gangs. He's been involved in this sort of area for many years. He's been involved in the organised crime area and online crime and all sorts of things. So he's done all the hard work. There's not a better candidate in the New Zealand Police Force or in the South Pacific, I reckon, that could do the job better than Chambers. He won't use weasel words. He hates the idea of weasel words. And in the time I've known him, he's never used them. I can't see him being hijacked into becoming someone else in this role. So many of them do. So if you wanted a cop's cop in charge, New Zealand, you just got one. So well done.
Duncan Garner, live.
That's us. This will be available as a podcast on Rover shortly, and wherever you get your podcasts, of course. Thanks for all your feedback and your support. I'm Duncan at rover.nz. Send us your thoughts. To my team, Isaac, thank you, sir. Always the best. Forrester, thank you. Forrester at large, thank you, guys. We'll do this again tomorrow. Remember, life is no dress rehearsal. There is no curtain raiser. Tomorrow I'm going to put on Mrs. New Zealand. The Mrs. New Zealand title holder will be on here tomorrow. So this is it. This is us. We live in one of the best places on earth. Get out and enjoy it and have a great rest of the evening. Take care, New Zealand. Ta-da.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.